So yesterday we started knowing about Spring Core module, importantly about containers. We started talking about containers, right? We started talking about IOC containers. Who will manage all the classes? Who will manage all the classes objects? Who will manage all your classes objects? That is the first job. Before Spring, right? While we were developing using servlets and EJBs, these classes objects used to created and managed by application servers. Okay, wherever you deploy them, that servers used to manage them. But when you code it in Spring or Spring Boot, you need not to worry about server. Your classes are managed by IOC containers. These containers will help you in that part. Okay. Imagine when you write code, backend code particularly, right? Backend code in Spring, you will be having controller, business, DO classes. Here is my controller class and a business class and a DO class. So for every use case, for every form or for every front-end view, you might have a separate controller, business, DAO. Here you have views. Okay. When I have 10 views here, 10 presentation pages, 10 views here. At the same time, backend I may have 10 controllers, 10 business and 10 DAO classes. Altogether I may have here 10 views, 10 controllers, 10 business, 10 DAO files. Altogether 40 files you may have. Out of 40 files, 30 backend classes you may have. Just imagine an example, okay? 30 backend classes, 30 classes, 30 classes I have here. 30 backend classes I have here. For each use case, I am implementing one controller, one business, and one DAO. For every view, I am implementing one controller, one business, and one DAO. End of the day, I have 10 views and 10 controllers, 10 business, and 10 DAOs. While using Spring, what you have to do is you need to work on backend part. Okay, you are working on backend part. So in old style, what we do, in old style, what we used to do, in old style, how we use containers, I am showing you. Okay, in old style, what we used to do, we used to configure all these classes, controller, business, DAOs into XML file. This is old style. Okay, we will have a XML file. In that XML file, here we used to configure all these classes using bean tags. Okay, we generally use bean tag. Using that bean tag, we used to configure all our classes: controller class, business class, DO class, controller, business, DO. How many like that I need to configure? As I have 10 views, I need to configure here 10 controllers, 10 business classes, and 10 DOs. All 30 classes I need to configure in my XML file. First, after implementing my classes, I need to configure them in XML file. Okay. So let's say I assigned, out of you 10 people are there. For each one of you, I given a view. Was implementing one view. For that view was implemented one controller, one business, and one DM. Similarly, others also picking up each one view and implementing one controller, business, DM. Once you're done with your implementations, you need to configure your classes into XML file. So once you configure your XML file, you have to read this XML file into your IOC container. I given names, right? Bean factory, application context, web application context. Okay. So we will be seeing examples in application context. Okay, I'll show you an example in Bean Factory also, but we call it as a lazy container, and that is very basic container. We never use it. Okay, and we are going to see examples in application context. We will see it in application context. Okay, anyway, they all are IOC containers. So we have to read this XML file via IOC container. Means you need to load this XML file into IOC container. Once you configure all your classes, you need to load it into IOC container. Then you need to start it. Like servers, how you will start Tomcat, WebLogic. Once we place code into servers, right, we will start them. We need to start them. Okay. So IOC container, you need to start. How to start? Starting IOC container means you need to create object for it. Starting means it is a simple Java class. It is not a special software will come up with the GUI. There they provide buttons to start, stop. Nothing like that. IOC container is a simple Java class. You need to create object for it. Create object for IOC class. You need to create object for your IOC container. You have to do that. If you create object for your IOC class, that means you are starting your IOC container. As already you loaded XML file into IOC container, what it will do? As soon as you start, it will pick up each class from your XML file, controller, business, DAO, everything. Whatever order you have given it here, right? In the same order, it will pick everything and it will create objects. You have configured 10 controllers, businesses, DAOs here. So it will start creating objects for them. As soon as you start, right, it will create objects for them. So IOC container will create all these objects. Your controller classes, business classes, DAO classes. Why objects? Without object, when I send data from front end, I can't able to read it. So I need an object. So as you need an object, you need not to create it. IOC will create. IOC will create object for you as soon as you load your XML file. Where it will create? Usually in Java, all your objects created in JVM only. JVM. It will create all your objects into JVM only. Where JVM exists? Maybe in your RAM. Logical memory. RAM. So under this JVM, it will create all these objects, your controller objects, then controllers objects, all your 10 business objects, DO objects. All these objects will create it in your JVM memory. Okay. And which object belongs to which class, how it will remember? It can remember. While configuring these bean classes, you need to put a ID. If you don't put ID, randomly it will generate one ID for each class. One ID. Or you may call reference. For each bean class, it will generate one ID if you don't configure any ID here. Along with your class name, you can configure a ID. If it is controller 1, you may put unique references. 30 classes should have 30 unique IDs. Okay. So that IDs it will keep here into IOC context. Controller 1, controller 2, controller 3, whatever unique IDs you have here, controller 4. Like that, it will keep all your object references and that references will point to your object which are created during starting of this IOC container. So that whenever you need an object which is created in JVM via IOC container, if you need that object, you can ask IOC, hey IOC, give me C1 bean or C2 bean, C3 bean. It will provide you that particular object which is created. Okay, let me show you an example. Okay, let me show you an example of basic. Okay, we'll do it in Eclipse. So as a developer, step by step, if I talk here for first example, right? Step by step, if I talk here, first, okay, step one, create a Java project in Eclipse. Okay, so this is a step one. Let me show you that. Remember each step, okay? So from file new, there are a lot of options you have. Maven project, AWS, dynamic web project, EJB, lot of stuff. We can do it in Maven as well as simple Java project. I'm going with simple Java project for time being. Later we will see Maven project over. IOC example I'm giving you. IOC example. Okay, finish it. Just create a project. That is the first thing that you need to do. Okay. Okay, I created. The next step, in step 2, add Spring jar files. Add Spring jar files. From where I need to get these jar files? You can download from our website. Here, right? I hope I shared this link with everyone. Here you have so many examples in this link. Let me share it to you again. So here we have a lot of examples and download options. So Spring jar files you can download here. You can click on this download symbol, it will download. Okay. So add that jar files. Already I downloaded and extracted. They are available in my downloads folder. So what I will do, I'll go to build path, configure build path. See here, source project library sections you have. So choose this library section, add external jars. Okay, my jar files are there in downloads. So I'm going to downloads. There is a Spring folder. Yeah. This is the one that I extracted from the download. So here a lot of jar files we have. To practice Spring, right, you need all these jar files. Keep them with you. I'm just adding all the jars, all Spring libraries, which I prepared actually. You don't get that direct all the jars references outside. So just download from our website only. It is easy to get all the libraries. So all the jar files I added here. Okay. Step 2 also done. Then step 3. Step 3. First you did basic project setup until here. Now step 3, create your poser classes. Means your controller or business or DM. I'm just calling it as a poser class. Create your poser class, step 3. Okay. I'll be creating a package com.rbu. Something application name student management system dot. I'm writing a simple poser class. Consider it as a controller. Okay. Student controller. Oh, sorry. It is a package, right? Just put package name, controller package. I need a one controller package, one business package, and one DAO package. Here I'll write simple poser classes. Okay, I'm not going to make End-to-end example, simple POSO classes. Student controller. In real time, right? Generally, I can give you simple examples like test class A, B, C, X, Y, Z kind of classes I can write. But in real time, we never write with such a naming conventions. We always used to create controllers business DAOs. So if you learn from day one writing in such a way, it will be very easy. Your journey will be very easy going forward. Will be adopted to this pattern. That's why I'm choosing it. Okay. So you will be writing always, right? In general, your application you will be always writing controller business DAOs only, not simple Apple, Mango test classes. Okay. So I'm just writing controller class here. You know the job of controller. It will read data from front end. For now, I'm not doing anything. Just a dummy classes I'm creating. Controller and overriding controller default constructor to show you controller object is creating. Student controller object. Student business class, or you may call it as service class. Here also I'm not doing anything. Just all are simple bean classes I'm writing. One controller, one business, and one DM. Hmm. So I implemented three classes. Where do I configure them? Next step, create your POSO classes. Thereafter, step 4, configure, or first create a Spring XML file. Okay, first a dummy file or empty file. Create a Spring XML file with DTD or schema. DTD stands for doc type definition. Okay, doc type definition. Whereas XML schema will have same definitions with more efficient validations and all. DTD or XSDH. XML schema definition. DTD or XML schema definition. Doc type definition or XML schema definition. Okay. In two ways we can configure XML file using DTD or XSD. Let me create a XML file here. I'm creating a folder for it. Resources. There I am creating one file. Go to new, others, choose option file. Next, just name here spring.xml or any name as your wish. Student management system, spring.xml. Like this also you can create. So I created one XML file here. And here you should have DTD or schema as I said, right? How can I get the DTD? First a DTD example I'm showing you, okay? Out of your jar files, there will be one jar file called Spring Beans jar. If you open that Spring Beans jar file, okay? Here you have Spring Beans jar. If you open it, you will have one folder called XML. You call it as package org.springframework beans.factory.xml. If you open that package, you will find lot of DTD files, XSD files, DTDs, XSDs, DTD as well as XSD. So now Open this beans DTD file. Spring XML beans DTD version 2.0. First one. Authors. Who implemented it? Rod Johnson and Holler, Alif, Colin, Rob, any people. Okay, so maybe he must have written these comments also. That's great that we are seeing here. So Rod Johnson created this DTD. This is the DTD. What he's saying, XML document that confirm this DTD should declare the following doc type. So you need to put this. You need to put this in your document. Copy line number 36 and 37. Keep it in your XML file. Copy, paste. Bus. You got the DTD here. Why I need DTD here? You may have question. If you don't put DTD here, if you don't put DTD here, your XML will not be validated. And the problem is, without a DTD, if I allow you, or if somebody allow you to create XML, you may create your own tags. You may create your own tags. Your name, you may put in tags. It is not a valid tag. So unnecessary tags you will put there. So it is very difficult to Spring to read your tags. So that's why they given a DTD here. So only the tags which are available in DTD. DTD will tell you which tags you can use. If you go bottom of this, you can see lot of tags. Main tag is beans. Inside beans tag, there are three child tags it is showing import alias bean. Now coming to bean tag, yeah, child tag bean. Again, this bean tag is having other child tags meta, constructor, arg, property, lookup method, replace method. It will show each and everything. Your tag attributes also. After tag, we will write attributes, right? Like ID, class, all your attributes list also. Bean is having ID, name, class. These are the attributes. So full detailed about your document you can see here. What all are tags I have, what all are, if you know XML. Okay, don't worry about it. So the main root tag is beans. Here I need to configure all my classes. So in step 4, create XML file. In step 6, step 5, add all your bean classes into XML file. How to configure them? With the full package name and the class name. Fully qualified name you should configure, which means here you need to configure each class with the bean tag. And you need to use class attribute here to configure your classes. So how many classes I have here? 3. Controller, business and DAO. So that 3 classes you should be configuring here with the fully qualified path. Class name, before that package name dot your class name, student controller, package name dot class name. Okay, so my controller classes are configured. Then what next? Business class. Business package, we have student, business. Okay, you don't write it, always try to copy paste. Okay, don't write it, I don't recommend you to write it. Okay, just do copy paste. Copy your package name. So how to copy? You may get question here. Use function and F2 rename option. When you try to click rename option, it will give you this name. Just copy it and close it. Don't rename it. Just for renaming, not for renaming, just for copying purpose. Copy it. And same class name also, try to enter rename, it will show you the name, copy it and close it. When you write yourself, you may miss package name or dot or naming convention, something you may miss. So instead of that, you just copy paste it so that you never see any issues. Yeah, that I configured controller, business, DOs. Good. And what next? Step 6, load XML file into IOC container. Load XML file into IOC container. Okay, let me write one IOC container class here. Generally, in real time, we are not bothering about IOC class. Automatically when we start web servers, it will create it. Okay, that is a different discussion we will do. But for now, for our practice, we will load always XML files ourselves into IOC containers and we will see. Okay, so I'm giving you one class here, one main method class. So a main method class with the main method. So here you need to load your XML file. As I said, we have three IOC classes, three container classes, right? Bean factory, application context, and web application context. I'm going to use application context for examples purpose. Application context. This is an interface. Still okay. This interface is having implementation. In Java, it is possible, right? Parent reference equal to new child object. This is possible. So application context and a reference. I just name it AP. New class path XML application context is the implementation class. Or else if you don't want it, you can use class path XML application context equal to class path XML application context. No worries, okay? Parent reference equal to child object. And what you need to do here, you have to load your XML file here. Again, same package name resources slash sms hyphen springboot.xml file. So this is my file. Okay, good. What I need to do next? Nothing. Click, go to run as Java application. So your application is started, means your server started. IOC server started as soon as you started your application. And your controller object is created, business object created, DO object created. As I mentioned here, right? As soon as you created your IOC object, starting means you created your IOC object. I created my IOC class object just by loading XML file. You may get the doubt here why you used a new keyword. To start server, we don't have any other option. That's why I'm using. And in real time, you never put this statement, okay? We never put this statement. This will automatically happen. Okay, don't worry about it. So we are loading XML file here. And when I try to create object for this class, it is reading this XML. As this is a container server, it is having some responsibilities. This class is doing what immediately after reading this XML file, it is understanding that, okay, you need a controller object, business object, DO object, which is mentioned here. So it is picking up each class. It is picking up each class from here internally by using class.forName approach, right? Class.forName approach. It is loading this class into there and creating object. That is the internal mechanism of this implementation. Internally, it is using class.forName approach only. I said right. Gavin King, he used same stuff. Maybe if you can see the source code of his framework, right, you can realize that internally how he implemented. Okay, least worry about it. I loaded XML file, then it is creating objects. Strange, but true. It is the server, it will take that responsibility. It will create all your objects. Where it will create? Into JVM only. End of the day, you create or server create or a Tomcat create or WebLogic create. Where they should run? On your system RAM only. And logically we call it as Java Virtual Memory. And what about references? As I said, it is created objects and will it hold references into IOC? Yes. How it will hold references? I have not given any ID here. Even if you don't provide ID also, it will generate one default ID for them. Or else if you want to mention ID, you can give it. You can give it. Controller ID C I given. Unique IDs. You should not repeat same ID. If you repeat it, it will show you error. Controller business DAO. I given 3 unique IDs. Now using that IDs, you can get object. Give ID here and you can get object. Which object? Whichever object created in JVM and resides there, right? That object you can get. Let me give ID C, controller ID. What I can expect here, as this is belongs to student controller, I can expect a student controller object here. So you will be getting student controller. Same way other IDs also you can call. Business. You will be getting student business object here. ID name anything, it's your wish, okay? So if you want to give fully qualified name, you can give any reference names. This is your optional, okay? So this is the ID there in the XML file. DO object, controller DO. So I got 3 objects. So do you want to see where it resides into JVM? You can print their hash code, or you may print that object. Nothing you will see. Nothing you will see. Maybe if you want to print hash code, you may print and see it. So all 3 objects I received just to print them. Whether it is giving objects or not, you can see. 3 objects are created that we understand from constructors. Their constructors executed. And we printed that objects, we can see them as well here. Objects are coming. Where actually they are there in JVM. But I could able to receive them via my container. Which means what Spring container is saying from beginning, you don't create any objects, I will create it for you. If you need them, ask me, I'll provide you that object. Slowly, container taking our responsibilities. First responsibility, don't create these objects. Usually, if you don't have Spring, you need to create them. But as Spring is there, it is saying don't create them, I'll create it for you. Whenever you need, ask me. You ask me like this. Give ID so that I can give you the object, whichever object you want. So this is how we can create objects. What is the benefit? We'll list out all the benefits. When you create objects using new keyword, when you create objects using new keyword, it will create object every time when you put new keyword. Example, here I created controller. I mean, here I'm fetching controller object one time, business object, DO object. So one user came. Imagine for one user, all this. Let's say you are trying to order in food in this morning. You are very hungry, so you ordered idli in online using this controller, business and DO. And one more person came. He also want to order the food. So he also fetching same objects. And one more guy. So every morning I'm getting for the same classes I'm getting 1,000 requests. Just imagine 1,000 people trying to get the same objects. Like this 1,000 times it is happening. So if it is without container, if you are creating objects 1,000 times for each class, it will create one new object, which means 1,000 into 3, 3,000 objects it will create if you use new keyword core Java approach. Instead, if you go with this IOC Spring approach, so for 3 members it is given 3 objects, but object creation happened only one time for each class. One controller object, one business object, and one DO object only I can see. Same objects only it is given to everyone. If you see here, objects are same returned. Only once these objects are created into JVM, and the same objects it will use until your server shut down. What is the benefit of it? And what we call actually that mechanism creating only one object? Instead of creating one object, imagine a use case. You all heard about online food apps, right? Like Swiggy or Zomato. Consider they have order controller, order controller, order business, order DAO classes. Yeah, generally when you place order, this many classes might execute in the background. Controller, business, DAO classes. So here one user came early in the morning. He started ordering milk. Person A, customer, you can say these all are customers. So this customer started ordering milk. He need a milk. He need milk. So he started placing order into Swiggy. So your request will go to order controller. Order controller will read your data. Then it will send it to business. Business will do all the calculations. How many milk packets you added. What is the sum of it. And finally it will send it to DAO. After all transactions is done, DAO will save it into database. Then one delivery ID it will be generated to you, and you will be receiving your order. Same way, at the same time, other customers also requesting. A is customer ordering for milk, B is ordering for idli, and some C is ordering for again milk. Like this, customers on their demand they may request for anything. Like this, in the morning itself, 1 lakh users started requesting. So just imagine daily 1 crore people are placing orders. Just imagine 1 crore orders are being placed. 1 crore orders are being placed. But how many classes are there for them to take the order and to calculate the sum and to store it into DO? 3 classes only in the backend. If you follow simple new keyword, if you follow simple new keyword when 1 crore people place the request, right? If you use new keyword approach and if you are creating a brand new object for 1 crore orders in JVM, it will create 1 crore controller objects, 1 crore business objects, and 1 CR of DO objects. Your RAM will die that many objects if it creates. At least if you calculate each object size is a 10 KB or 20 KB, your RAM will die. Though if it is a supercomputer also, it cannot able to manage this many objects. This is very bad. Your application continuously will go down. Instead of that, if you use Spring Container, IOC, if you use IOC here for 1 crore orders, right? If you are using IOC, though you have 1 crore orders, it will create only one controller object, one business object, and one DO object. See the difference. In place of 3 crores objects in JVM, just 3 objects. Wow. See how beauty it is. Unnecessary objects creation it is not doing. One single object is enough. Bus. Not required to have 3 crores objects in JVM. You need not to put that much burden on your RAM. Will it not create any problem? I placed a milk order and somebody placed idli. Is it not going to override my milk and I receive idli? No. Generally, when applications are web applications, right? Your request will be executed in a separate thread. So you need not to worry about your data losses. So one object is sufficient. When I use IOC, IOC is creating only one object and always my application in green. It will not give me overheating issues or RAM not available or out of memory. No such issues I can see. But if I go with new keyword, definitely. Always your RAM will full with objects and sometimes you may not have memory, your application may not perform or it may not execute even a single request. Thereafter everything is full. So what we call it creating one object means singleton. We call it singleton. Singleton. Instead of ton objects, we will create single object. Singleton. And what we call creating a new object for every request is prototype. Prototype. So prototype is not good. Singleton is good because it will consume very less memory. Whereas prototype will consume lot of memory. Lot of memory it will consume. Whereas singleton will consume very less memory. Less memory it will consume. So performance is very low here. Low performance. Application will give low performance here. Whereas here it will give high performance. Generally, when you buy a car with 2000 cc, you will expect definitely it should run 200 kilometers per hour. It should not go like a 10 kilometers or 20 kilometers per hour. When you implement application, your application should be faster enough to take the orders and give the response back. When you place an order in Swiggy, instantly on a single button click, it will take your order and it will place it. Instead, if it is continuously rotating, please wait in next 5 minutes, we will confirm your order. Like that, if you get response, definitely in the next minute you will undeploy or remove that application from your phone, and you will find out for the new app. So obviously you need to give response in very less time. Either you are placing order or not placing or rejecting. You should give immediate response. Such a fast mechanism we should have. Okay. So when I use IOC containers, they will make my application performance very high because they creating single object only for each of my class, single object only. Though you place 1 crore times, it will give you same object, and there is no burden on my RAM. A same object it is referring every time, which means same memory only it is consuming. So it will be very easy to me to manage any big application with less memory. Is it good or not? Yes. So why these containers are very famous? Because lot of things they are managing internally to make your application in terms of performance or other things, right? To make it good, they are handling so many things internally. So it is making first thing all your objects are singleton. All your objects are singletons. That is the beauty. Okay. We will explore other features tomorrow. Okay. So just go till here. Okay. And practice it. Today I'll be sharing this Git link also. Okay. I'll upload this last four examples in Git and I'll share it with you.